Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Laura Canfield Show. Thank you so much for being with us today. I know you're really busy at this time, probably getting ready for Christmas, shopping, wrapping, baking, cooking, all that wonderful stuff. So thank you for taking the time to be with us here today. And today we have a special guest, brand new to our show. We have Karen Kay, who's with us from the UK, and she's going to be talking about manifesting with the fairies. And she's known as Karen Kay, the fairy lady. So I'm excited to talk about all things fairy, all things fae, and who knows where this conversation is going to go. But we're going to talk about manifesting with the fairies, what that looks like, how you can do that, what's required. I don't even know. We'll see. So a little bit about Karen. Like I said, she's lived in the UK. She is a new Hay House author. She has a new book. An oracle card deck coming out in October of 2019. And Karen communicates with fairies. She founded her own international fairy magazine called Fae. A passionate nature lover, her friendship with the fairies began as a young child in her grandmother's garden, where she used to collect rose petals to make perfume for the flower fairies. And she is related to renowned fairy poet and author Walter de la Mare. And Karen, like I said, is releasing her first fairy oracle card deck with Hay House in the fall. I think I got October, so who knows? And she also does a lot of, I was going to say, events and so on for people who are interested in fairies and other realms, right? So Karen, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here talking to you and everyone, and I'm feeling especially festive, and fairies are very active around this time, actually.
Awesome. So, because this is the first time that you're on our show, do you want to just tell the audience a little bit about yourself and how you became known as the fairy lady, and even about some of the events that you hold?
Okay, there's a lot of information, so I'll try to summarize it. So hello everyone, I'm really happy to be here and to share my fairy world with you all. It's always sparkly and joyful and unpredictable and fun. And the first thing to do when you are connecting with fairies is just to give up any preconceived ideas. Everything's inside out, upside down, back to front, and just expect the unexpected in a good, positive way. It's very magical, and anything can happen once you open that fairy door. So it's really fun, and I'm really excited to share part of my experience of working with the fairies with you all. I've got the question now. This is my fairy head. My airy fairy head.
No, that's awesome. So, basically, the format of our shows is very, what's the word? Organic. So basically, it's free flowing, So I wanted to know a little bit about some of, your Fae magazine that you started and some of your fairy events, but also you just said something that piqued my interest. You said something about once you open the fairy door. So how can we all, if we want to connect with the fairies, open the fairy door?
Okay, so I'll say the way I did it initially, and the most important thing is to be creative and come from your heart and with sincerity, because the fairies are very wise beings of the earth. They're on the earth realms because they work in harmony with nature. So they're very good at detecting sincerity and your intent. They can feel that. So they'll be able to tune into you and find out whether you are somebody who loves the earth, somebody who doesn't put weed killer on their lawn, or somebody who generally cares for nature. And that goes down to right down to household products, what you're consuming, your environmental impact. It's quite a significant thing with them. And also, if you go out and if you throw litter, they'll be on you and they'll be watching you. So pick litter up, maybe take a bag and collect it when you're out, and that will get you on their radar. And it is, for me, it is something that is light, but it is try and find the word. It's something very it's an ongoing friendship that that I have with them, and that when you connect with them, it is an ongoing thing. And once you open that door, I don't know if you can ever close it again. So it has to be something, and I don't mean that to sound like whoa, but it's a commitment on both parts. And it doesn't mean you answer to them or anything, but it's like a friendship.
Right.
And it's a two-way street. So what is coming from you will eventually come from them if they feel it. And as I said, you have to expect the unexpected, and also expect nothing for a while, and you must develop patience, or pixie patience as I call it. So you would be receptive, and you would say either out loud or from your heart, in your mind, fairies, I wish to connect with you for the highest good of all. Something very simple like that, in your own words. It doesn't have to be fancy, but if you want it to be fancy, it can. Very often when I connect with the fairies, and a few other people I know as well who connect with the fairies, they talk to you or inspire you in rhyme. And it doesn't have to be like that, but a lot of the time it is like that. So you'll find things coming through in rhyme, little simple songs and poetry and things like that, with a very strong message in it. So you can write to the fairies as well. You can write to them, and then you can either bury it in the earth and say, fairies, I give this to you from my heart to you, and know that they will see that and read that, and you're directly putting your energy into the earth where they are near. There are other ways. You could burn that and send it to the sylphs of the air, which there are many different types of fairies, or sometimes they're called elementals as well. But they will, once you reach out to them, they're very keen to connect with humanity, with people who are receptive to them and who care about the earth. So they will be wanting to connect with people who can kind of champion their cause, and their cause is the environment and looking after nature. And a perk of that is the magic that comes with it. But again, it's not something to be expected. If they want to add a little bit of fairy dust, a little bit of magic into your life, then they will. It's just about being receptive to that, and just being open to connecting with them. They've been very misunderstood over many, many years, and they've been kind of demonized by the church. And so people feel like, oh no, you mustn't communicate with them. But they're just doing their job. They're not angels, but I believe that they are part of the same hierarchy. And sometimes people call them nature angels or earth angels. I don't think they really care what you call them, as long as you respect them and you respect the earth. It's just a label, and we're not really bound by labels. It's just what other people project onto us. So they have a lot of stuff projected onto them. And yes, so that's a very simple way, I think, of just reaching out through your heart with pure intent and sincerity.
I love that. Thank you. And you'll find, I do tend to, like, when I ask a question, it's usually 3 or 4 questions at once.
I tend to digress as well. That's part of the fairy thing. I think it's very fluid and it just goes all over the place. But it's about surrendering and trusting and going with the fairy flow. So it's fun.
Awesome. And so I wanted to tell everyone too, or remind everyone too, that if you do have a question for Karen, you can type it in the chat, or you can raise your hand, or if we're not doing a process of some sort, you can just unmute yourself and ask away. So Sunny's asking a question right now. Are fairies and elves the same energy?
They're of a similar energy. Yes, they are. And again, it's another label for an elemental. So fairy or fairies is the name that is given to the king, that realm.
Okay.
In which you would have elves, you would have gnomes, and sylphs and various other beings. So again, it's how they're labeled, but the energy is very similar. Yes.
So are the devas the same thing too? Like the same?
Yes.
Same. Yes. So it's so like when we call on all the elementals, it's the same realm again, right?
Yeah. For me, that's how I perceive it. You could go you can kind of intellectually go into it all and get the different, you know, aspects, or you can feel your way through it and feel the difference of the energy, because you can, like recently I've been having a lot of the gnome energy come to me, and it feels different. It's the same, from the same realm, but it feels different. And I think they're drawn to me at the moment because they are hard workers, and they are powerful manifestors as well, and they're very closely connected with trees, and I love trees, so it figures that they're going to reach out to me at some point, which they have, and I'm super pleased about that.
Awesome. And so, you know, we're today we're talking about manifesting with the fairies, right? And so in order to manifest with the fairies, you have to first be connected to the fairies or have some sort of relationship with the fairies, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to have that connection first, before you do any workings with them. And again, it's about being patient and making that connection with them, and you will feel the difference. For me, when I feel fairies, when they're around, it feels usually very fizzy, like a champagne's popped open and there's sparkles and fizz energetically. That's the best way I can describe it. And sometimes I get a scent of toffee apples, which is really lovely, and it's happened quite a few times, and I'm like, what's that smell? I love toffee apples. I haven't had them for years, but the scent comes, and that's probably a way they know they can directly get to me, through that sense, because as soon as I smell it, I know that they're near, unless I'm in a fairground, of course, where they sell toffee apples, but I haven't been in a fairground for a long time with any actual toffee apples, so it's something that it's like their calling card for me to let me know that they're near. So it's not
going to be like that for everybody. Like I might have a different, way of
you would have your own personal experience. It's very unique to each individual, so that's just how they kind of present themselves to me sometimes, with that scent and with that feeling. And it's very upbeat, it's very energetic, it's very excitable. That's what it feels like for me, but it isn't always like that for everybody else. And it's about connecting through with your heart and forming a friendship the same way that you or I would form a friendship. You know, you get to know each other, you talk a bit, you feel each other's energy. Even though it's through a computer, we can still, the first time we spoke, we had a connection, and it's the same. And you might not get on with all fairies, but you will probably have a bond with certain other fairies who will draw close. When I did a workshop about a month ago in London, or near London, and I led people through a meditation to connect with fairies. And afterwards, a lady came up to me and she said, "Are fairies supposed to give you their name?" And I said, well, if they do, that's a real blessing. If they've given you their name, then it means that they really want that connection, because once you have their name, you can call on them, and that's what they want you to do if they give you their name. You don't have to have a name, but if they do, it's an added bonus. So you can just connect with them generally and know and trust that the right fairy energy will come forward for you. I would always say to employ some form of protection, as with any spiritual working. So that can be whatever works for you. It could be a simple affirmation, a prayer. You could visualize yourself in a white egg or golden cloak, or whatever it is that you do. But I would always recommend doing that, because when you're opening yourself up, obviously other beings might be curious as to what you're opening up for, so always have some kind of protection. And also Archangel Michael is awesome in that scenario, and he will oversee everything. So I do work with the angelic and with the fairies simultaneously, and it forms a very strong protection, really, and a base for everything to happen in. So I've had unicorns, all types of fairies, gnomes within the fairy circle that I form, that I'll talk about a bit later.
Awesome, thank you. And Christy's asking, are fairies the energy that inspire people that take rocks, etc., from national parks, etc., to return them as sorry rocks?
Gosh, I don't know, actually. I honestly don't know. It could be, it could be, but I can't say yes, it definitely is, or no, it definitely isn't. I think, again, it's down to your personal feeling. Now, I know sometimes I've gone to places and I'll see one stone will just jump, it could be on a beach and there's millions of stones, and one will just say, take me home with you. Or I've had a few. One told me it was the stone of prosperity, and one told me it was a stone of something else. They talk to me sometimes, and that's another story, but they are, again, connected to the earth. So it could be a fairy prompting you to take it. I prefer to leave things where they are generally, unless it really talks to me and calls me and says, I need to come back with you because there's some mission or some work. And then they will often go on to be with someone else, or you might lose it or drop it because they have their own path as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the same with crystals and other stones. Just, you might not have them forever, but sometimes they're with you for some work that needs to be done for them and for you and for the planet, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, once I don't know why this has come to mind, but it's come to mind, so I'll share it. And it's to do with a crystal that I was wearing, and we're going back long time, many years, when I met an old boyfriend who is a friend now, and I was wearing a quartz crystal around my neck on a shoelace or something. It was just crudely there, but it was a crystal that I'd had for a long time. And when he looked at me, the crystal just shattered. Yeah. And it was like, wow, he only looked at me, and we were together for a decent amount of time, and we had lots of things to work through together. And as I say, we're still good friends now. But that was a really poignant and significant moment. And it made me realize that crystals are living beings in another, they're vibrating on a different level, but they are living.
Right.
So yeah, that was pretty powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, oh my goodness, I don't think that's ever happened to me. I don't know what I would do, because I love I have lots of crystals and stones, and and so I like them. I wouldn't want them to just shatter, but if they do, that's their path, all right?
Yeah, exactly. And it was, I felt like it was almost saying, my work here is done. Like, you've connected with this person. This is what my purpose was. Possibly. I mean, that could be arrogant of me to say that. It could have just, I might have caught it on something, but I don't remember that happening. I just remember this connection, and the energy was so strong that it did just literally explode. Nobody was hurt though, so that was okay.
Yeah, exactly. So
kamikaze crystal.
Sorry?
Kamikaze crystal.
Yeah, for sure. And so Sunny's asking, what kind of information do you receive from them? I'm assuming you're talking about from the fairies, right, Sunny? I'm assuming that's what she means.
Yeah. So it depends. I mean, I've been connecting with fairies naturally since I was a young child, and I didn't even know what it was. I didn't have the name. It was just a natural connection. So they will often inspire me in different ways, and it's just like ideas of a different nature come into me, and I know that it's external, it's not internal. I know when I get my own kind of ideas, and I know when they're externally inspired ideas. And they've told me, well, one of the most challenging things they told me was to announce that I was going to do a festival. And that sounds pretty innocuous, like, yeah, but I didn't know where it was going to be. I didn't know what it was going to be called. All I knew that it was going to be in Cornwall, which is where I live, right at the bottom of England, in the little bit, almost at the ends of the earth. And they said, and now, we want you to do a festival, and a fairy festival, at the time of midsummer, to celebrate the fairies, because that's a very potent time for them. and you must announce it. And I thought, rewind. I said, well, how can I announce something? I don't have a venue for it, a location.
Mm-hmm.
How can I do this? And they said, trust. And I was like, well, anything could be telling me to trust. And to put this into perspective, I've been organising events quite successfully. You know, I've got a good reputation for events, and I've been doing this since 1994. And this happened in, I think it was 2005 or 2006, around then. So I had a lot on the line. You know, for me to say something, it had to happen, because I'm a person of my word, and if I say something's going to happen, I will do everything within my power to make that happen, professionally and spiritually. I like to keep to my word. So I did sit on it for a little while, and I thought about it, and then I thought, okay, I'm going to go ahead and do this. So I announced because I'd established a mailing list of people, and I had connections. So I announced that I was doing the festival. And then after I'd done that, it felt quite freeing, and it almost felt like you're propelling yourself off the end of the cliff, mm-hmm. and trusting that your wings are going to appear. And I know that might sound a little bit dramatic, but it was a very big thing for me to do. And then I think within a week or 2 weeks, and I can't even remember how it happened, I met somebody who had some land, who loved the idea of a fairy festival, and so it was born. Mm. Now, the name is another thing, because I didn't want to just call it a fairy festival, because I felt like that was quite generic, although it is a fairy festival. So I wanted something that would make it stand alone, you know, separate, and be identifiable. So I was in the garden one day, and I was hanging out my laundry on the line, and it was a sunny day. It wasn't really windy, and the grass had been cut, and I noticed there was one single solitary dandelion head. You know, when the yellow dandelions go into the fluffy seed head, there was one. And the first thing I thought was, how did that survive the lawnmower? Because it's literally just been cut, but it was there. And I was like, okay, so I'm hanging up. And then one of the little wishes, I call them wishes, flew by. And I was like, oh, that's lovely, but there's no wind. So, okay, carry on hanging up. And then another one flew by. And again, I was odd. That is odd, because it wasn't windy. It was a beautiful laundry day. And then another one. And I was like, 3 wishes. And I was like, oh, 3 wishes. I'm thinking now, I've got that same feeling, the 3 wishes fairy festival. And it just made sense. And it was like a piece of the puzzle, all connected. And so 3 wishes was born. And actually, next year, because we're still in 2018, next year will be the 13th anniversary of that festival. 1 a year for 13 years.
Awesome.
So yeah.
So they guided you to create that, to start it.
Sorry?
They guided you to create that, to start it.
Yes. Yeah, they definitely did. And that's an example of something that they've inspired me to do.
Yeah. Awesome.
The most prominent example that I can give.
I love that. Thank you. So I wanted to talk, because, we could talk about forever, about all sorts of things, but when we're talking about manifesting with the fairies, for example, right? How do we do that? And are we going to do a process today to connect with the fairies, or like a guided process meditation today?
Yeah, well? If you'd like to do that, and if everyone's open to that, then we can certainly do something simple that is easy for everyone to join in. With the free gift, the meditation, it's called Fairy Magic 3 Wishes, and that is another one of my first manifesting CDs. So that's something that people can listen to and do afterwards in their own time. But we can certainly do something together as well.
Awesome. So let's say that somebody wants to manifest a new job, for example, in 2019.
Yeah. Okay. So with manifestation, you can there are no rules, so you can actually ask for whatever you want or need. I would always say, always ask from a non-selfish reason, something that is going to benefit the highest good of everybody.
Right.
So I don't know if it would really benefit everybody's highest good if I had a pure gold Ferrari. I don't think that would benefit everyone's highest good except my own ego. So that's something I wouldn't ask for.
Right.
But I could do with a bigger home. So I will and have been talking to the fairies about that. And it's on a practical level. I need bigger, more space to do the work so that I can still continue to be of service and enjoy my work and be comfortable. I'm not looking for a luxury apartment or anything like this. I'm happy with a little rustic cottage in the middle of nowhere with nice, it would be nice to have some land, some trees that I can care for, because where I live at the moment, we're hearing them being, you know, trimmed and chopped and the chainsaws, and it really hurts me when I hear that. So I'd like to be somewhere where I can be a physical human guardian for nature. Right. And I know that the fairies support me in that. That is something that is for everybody's good, because when we look after the earth and the planet, it's something that will benefit not just the people that are alive now, but the future generations. So that is an example of something that I would wish for or wish to manifest with the fairies. But it isn't restricted to that. I think as long as you're sincere, again, sincerity is key, little fairy key, is key in any connection, any kind of request. And again, it's a two-way street. So you wouldn't just say, I want this, fairies, please, thank you very much. You would say, this is something that I would like in my life. I feel that it would benefit me and be of the benefit for those around me. What can I do to help manifest this? And then you would kind of proactively wait for inspiration and guidance. And you might find, you know, you suddenly see a sign, or the phone rings, or just, again, it's being receptive, and they will help to put little keys in place, a little trail like breadcrumbs, spiritual breadcrumbs that will lead towards your manifestation, if it's meant to be. Because it's always good to, if you ask, be prepared to fully let it go, this or something better.
Right.
We don't always know best, and it doesn't mean that the fairies always know best either, because they're earth-based beings, and so they don't always know best, but they do kind of know what's best from their point of view, from their domain. So again, it's like a friendship. You would give your friend some advice, they might take it, they might not, and it's the same with fairies. There is an earth wisdom that comes through the fairies as well, that is not older than time, but since the beginning of time. So, you know, they do have some wisdom to share with regards to manifesting. So it's really important to be very clear about what it is that you wish to manifest, not expect it. They're not little slaves that are going to run off and create stuff for us. It's a two-way street, and they will only assist if there is some benefit in it for, I don't want to say for them, but for what their objective is, which is protecting and nurturing the planet. So I hope that
so what sense. If, you know, I mean, most people who are on these types of calls are spiritual-ish, you know, but what if I just want, you know, more money, just so that I can enjoy my life, so that I can pay my rent, so that I can put food on the table? Yeah.
Okay, so I went through exactly this when I first had my children, when I was a single parent mother, and I needed money to pay the bills, to buy the food, etc., etc. I wanted a better quality of life, not only for myself, but for my children.
Right.
Now, what I learned is that I don't focus on the money. I focus on what is it that you want to do with that money. Focus on that. By saying that you need money for things can almost put a block to whatever it is that you really want to manifest. So if you need money for food, then visualize a huge table full of fresh, beautiful food, organic food, food that's come from the earth, you know, not processed food, something, you know, imagine that see yourself full and satisfied and not starving, and you know, just see yourself being happy and content. And if you need money for that, then the money will come. But I would always say, don't focus on the money.
Exactly.
Because again, money is an energy. It's a physical energy that is clothed with expectation from humans, but also it's an energy, so you can bypass it actually.
Absolutely. So you're actually visualizing when you are asking the fairies for help, right? For their assistance.
Yeah. And that's for me, because I work in a very visual way. So I would visualize it and how do I feel, and try and encapsulate that feeling and really feel it as if it's happening as well, and say thank you as if it's already happened, because time's not linear as well, especially in fairyland.
Exactly. So I'm talking to my community, because, like, guys, I said this, right? Didn't I just say this earlier today and yesterday? I was talking about this type of thing as well. We weren't talking about fairies per se, but about visualizing and really feeling it with your entire body and being, and having a reason for why you want it and feeling that, you know. And then so Sunny's asking, how do we trust the process? And trust is something that, you know, it's a biggie right now, right?
Yeah, it is. And really, I don't think anyone can teach you trust except yourself. And that's probably not the answer that you wanted, Sunny, but it's an honest answer. You usually, in the first millisecond of anything happening, any interaction, you know in your gut. Now we can bypass this and let our head take over, or we can just be a bit still, and, as I always say, receptive and aware and mindful in the moment. And then you can kind of see things coming, and you see how you feel, and it's very subtle. It can be very, very subtle, or it can be like a pow, but usually it's very subtle, and you will know if it's something that you can trust, if it resonates with you. What resonates for me might not be right for everybody else.
Exactly.
So
how does it feel for you?
Yeah, and there isn't like a one word answer for that. You know, it is a personal thing. So yeah, it's about being receptive and tuning into the subtleties, the subtle signs and feelings that you get within your own body, within your aura, depending on how aware you are of your many layers. And, you know, but on a primal level, a purely primal level, you will know if you can trust something.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. And, you know, and that's the thing. It's like, I was talking about trust a couple of days ago, or sometime this week, and, you know, trust has always been difficult for me, right? But at the same time, you know, when I look back at the evidence has supported the trust, you know, so the evidence is there. So it's like, how can I not trust when the evidence has proven and shown that spirit is there, my guides are there, they're working with me, we have the connection, and they're guiding, and so on and so forth. So it's like, trust that, right? And trust your heart. So when you're asking the question, how do we trust the process? That's your mind asking that question. Go to your heart. Go to your heart space. Take a few deep breaths. Go in your heart space and ask, you know, can I trust this process? You know, that Karen just talked about. And you'll get a yes or a no, or you might get, try it. You know, so don't just trust something. Try it, and then see how it works for you. You know,
because also, sorry for interrupting. No. Trusting doesn't always mean that it's going to be a smooth process. You could be trusting that you have a powerful lesson ahead of you that might be uncomfortable and challenging. That is trust as well. It's trusting that you are being carried and nurtured through that experience by your higher self, by your guides, by the fairies, whatever it is, whoever it is that you're tuned into, knowing that you're supported by your divinity, your own divinity. Because we all come from that same force.
Yeah. So trusting doesn't mean you get what you want
Yeah.
or how you want it.
Yeah.
You know, one time when I was, you know, I guess feeling disconnected or something, you know, and I'm like, you know, it's like, you know, I was talking to Archangel Michael. It's like, you know, it's like, I haven't felt your presence lately. Are you still here? Are you still with me? And whoosh, right away, I felt, I can, as I talk about it, I can feel that presence so strong, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, got it, thank you, you know. But it was like, if you ask for evidence, you know, you will get it. But you have to be willing to receive it, and you have to be asking from your heart, not from your mind, you know.
Yeah, most definitely.
Hopefully that helps a little bit somewhere, something.
Yeah, it's definitely a heart thing. It's definitely a heart thing.
And I would say also too, like when you're working with the fairies, I think it's best if you can be outside in nature, going for a walk through the trees and so on, right?
Yeah. That is the ideal scenario, to actually be in their domain, in their realm physically.
Mm-hmm.
Because then there are no barriers, there are no walls, there's no Wi-Fi to hopefully to stop that connection.
Yeah.
That is the ideal scenario. It's not always possible for everybody in the way that we're living today. Many people in high-rise apartments, they don't have access to the natural environment.
Yeah.
I am very blessed because I do. I'm 5 minutes away from the ocean. I'm 5 minutes away from the woods. Half an hour to Land's End with the cliffs, and it's all around me, and I feel it. I can feel it in my aura.
Mm-hmm.
And it feeds me, it nurtures me. So when I go outside and I'm exposed to this physically, to this raw energy, it's a powerful thing. And you do immediately, the beings are there, so they're around you, you can feel it. It's an ideal scenario to be able to do that, but as I said, it isn't always possible, but there are other ways. So again, through visualization,
mm-hmm.
you can visualize that you're sitting at the base of a tree, or you're in woodlands, or you can have a lot of people have potted plants in their homes, and there will be a being, a fairy spirit that is with that plant. You can connect through to that fairy, and fairies, I believe, operate in a similar way to bees when it comes to like a hive mind. So I feel that if you're connecting through to one fairy, you can actually connect through to all fairies. It doesn't mean you're going to have dialogue with every single fairy, because there are a lot of them, the same way you can't have dialogue with every single human being.
Right.
It's a similar principle to when people say we are one.
Mm-hmm.
Energetically, we are one. Individually, we're not, because we've got unique personalities that, differentiate each other from each other. So that's what I mean. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. It totally makes sense. And, for the past year or so, one of my friends, whenever she would do like a reading for me, she would always tell me, go for a walk, go in the woods, the fairies, and talk to the fairies. She would say that every single time. Go out and talk, be in the woods, be in the trees, and go and talk to the fairies. So they've been quite prominent in my world, especially lately for the past year. But also, long time ago, I'm just going to really a short little story. A long time ago, when I had a past life regression, they had, during the past life thing, Majiggy, they mentioned how, this came up that I was queen of the fairies, right? And I'm like, wow, okay, right? And so I thought it was cool. I was like, okay, cool. I didn't know what that meant. And then right around that time, I had a power retrieval ceremony with who's a teacher now, but wasn't at the time. And in it, at the end of it, I got my soul name, right? And my soul name was Una. And when I happened to check something online, I saw Una, and Una was the queen of the fairies. It's like, huh. But I didn't do anything with it. It's like, okay, cool. It's like, all right, that's interesting. It's like, what do I do with that, right? I didn't know. I was like, okay, whatever. So, but whenever I sit down to meditate, do any of my healing work, do any of my healing transmissions, and also so on and so forth, I always call upon the fairies and the elementals as part of my support team, right? So to include their energies, to be present, right? And in all the work that I do.
Yeah.
And so, you know, when I was looking through my house after we talked, it's like, do I have anything fairy-ish? And it's like, no, I have one. It's way, way up there. It's, you know, symbol of fairies, you know, and I've had that for a
Yes.
long time, like 10 years
Yeah.
or something, you know? And it's like, somehow it all seems to be coming back in my life in some way.
Well,
So,
it's our connection as well. You know, we've connected through that fairy connection, so it's amplifying it for you and for me as well. So it's really lovely. And sometimes you don't have to do anything, like the fact that you know this, you've been given this information,
yeah.
and you're like, well, what do I do with this? Well, sometimes just knowing it is the key. Just that knowing, that realization, because it's set off a sequence of events within you.
Right.
Knowing that, because it's made you more open and receptive to that connection, which means more little doors are opening, like the door between us and various other doors are opening, because you've got that connection naturally. How wonderful. So
I thought that was cool. And it's not something I was raised with, you know, brought up with, right? So Caroline says when she became a Reiki master in 2003, a fairy appeared to her. And another time in the forest in BC on a spiritual retreat in the woodlands of white birch trees, another appeared. And she said they are part of her light team. Awesome.
Yeah.
Good.
That's really lovely. How nice. Yeah, they do a lot of healing work, fairies, as well. And they're not the first port of call for a lot of people. You wouldn't necessarily think, oh, I need to do some healing work, let's call in the fairies, because usually when you're doing healing, it would be angelic. You would kind of feel like you're going up, but sometimes you need that earth healing. You need grounding to heal sometimes. So there are different aspects to the healing. So yeah, that's wonderful. It sounds like she's got a very balanced team of healers around her.
Yes, she does. Absolutely. Okay, so wow. Anything else we need to know about manifestation before we do like a guided process?
I think I've covered, I'll probably think of something tomorrow, but I think I've covered everything that needs to come through in this moment. So yeah, I think we've covered that.
Awesome. All right, so let's do a healing process, or the guided process, the meditation to connect with the fairies.
Okay.
I think that'll be fun.
Okay.
And then after that, we'll take some more questions.
Okay. Okay. Right. So if you center yourself, be still and breathe deeply, and do your best to clear your mind, but don't worry if any thoughts linger. Just watch them and watch them float out of your ears, any thoughts, and be in a receptive, still space. And as you breathe in love. And breathe out any cares or concerns that you may have. And if you work with any particular guides or spirit helpers, then call them in now, or do your personal protection. I'll do a basic protection that you may use if you wish. Very simple. So visualize yourself with a beautiful golden cloak going around your shoulders. And as you lift the golden hood over your head, say to yourself, I am safe, protected, and loved. Okay, so now look within your heart for what it is that you wish to manifest with the help of the fairies. And you don't have to say this verbally, you can just know what it is within your heart. Make sure that it does not impinge on the free will of another being, and that it is for the highest good of all. Now, a very large fairy queen is walking towards you, very large, and she's glowing gossamer white, iridescent, and she's carrying a basket. And the basket is shimmering, and there's sparkles coming out of this basket, and you know it is full of magic. She places her hand into the basket and pulls out a piece of paper. And with her other hand, she pulls out a golden pen. And she hands these to you. So you are now in possession of some paper and a golden pen. You now write down your wish, your desire, what you wish to manifest. Be very clear about what it is that you wish to manifest, and write it down as clearly as you can on the paper. Take as much time as you need to do this. Fairy Queen is standing in front of you patiently, and she's holding the space for you to do this, to literally pour your heart out onto the paper. Your ultimate desires, dreams, wishes, whatever they may be. It's best to stick to just one wish at a time. If you want to repeat the process, you can do so in the future, but just stick to one at the moment. When you feel satisfied that you have written down your wish, you hand back the pen to the Fairy Queen, and she places it back in her basket. Next, you fold your paper once and then twice. And the Fairy Queen pushes the basket towards you, gesturing for you to place the paper into the basket, which you do. As you release the paper into the basket, beautiful sparkles come off of it, and you know that it is being received. You must fully let go of any expectation. Just know that this or something better will be. And then either out loud or in your heart, in your mind, say thank you for this, because it is so. And you thank the Fairy Queen. And as she walks away from you, she does not turn her back on you. She slowly walks back and she nods to you in acknowledgement of the being who you are. She recognizes you. And then lots of tiny fairies come down and gather around her and fly into the basket. And this basket is full of all of our wishes, hopes, and dreams. And each tiny fairy has been assigned a mission for your particular wish. And they take your wish from the basket, and the Fairy Queen gestures for them to go and manifest. So your wishes are now being taken by your individual fairy out into the universe. And the Fairy Queen now walks backwards. She turns and she vanishes. and there's just a trail of sparkle around her, golden, magical, iridescent sparkle. And you can see it falling onto you as well, imbuing you with the ability to manifest also. Now you have to play your part in this. You've given your heartfelt wishes to the fairies, who now have them in their safekeeping, and they will do all they can, if appropriate, to manifest from their side. You have to do your part now. So over the next few days, or perhaps weeks, be receptive to any ideas or inspirations that might come to you. Usually at dawn or some crazy hour of the middle of the night, you will get ideas. It's a good idea to keep a pen and paper by the bed so you can write these down, but just be in a receptive space and look for the signs. Then I want you to breathe deeply again. Breathe in love and breathe out love. And then when you feel ready, feel your body on the chair or on the thing that you're sitting on, and move your hands and your fingers and your toes and come fully back into your body. And that was possibly your first experience of connecting with the fairies for manifestation. It's a very gentle process, and hopefully you enjoyed that.
Oh, it was beautiful. It was so lovely. I loved it. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Lisa said it was beautiful. Sunny said it was beautiful. I love the golden cloak. I'm using that.
Yeah, it's very
simple.
simple. It's a good idea to put it on your coat hook before you go out in the real world. Pop it on. It doesn't hurt.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Caroline said enjoyed it so much. Fun, loving, ticklish. Linda says beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, that was so lovely.
Oh, it's a pleasure. I didn't know that exactly was going to happen, because I also put myself in that space of not knowing and being receptive, because then I know that whatever I'm getting is not contrived, it's happening. So as it's happening for you, it's happening for me for the first time. I have had a fairy with a basket before, but usually there's been a process of a fairy ring but she just came straight in. She didn't want to mess around. She's like, okay, let's get these wishes, let's get this doing.
Yeah.
So
that was nice. Yeah.
Lovely.
And then that's what I do too. I was like, I never know ahead of time what I'm going to do. It's like in the moment, guidance from spirit, guidance from my team, right? And you just go with it, right? So that was lovely. Yeah. Anybody have any questions or comments or other feedback about that process, or anything else to do with manifesting with the fairies? I thought that was beautiful.
I think everybody's probably feeling a little bit more chilled and relaxed now. I'm feeling a bit floaty.
Definitely.
Usually I would say after doing because when you work with fairies, it is very heady, and you do really need to ground after. So I would always say, have a little nibble of a biscuit or a piece of toast or an apple or something, because when you eat, you're coming back into your body. So it's quite important.
Yeah, I always do, connect back into Mother Earth for a moment, take a few deep breaths and come back into your body. And I always have water or lemon water or something, afterwards as well.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be eating shortly. A late dinner, like always. No, that was lovely. And so, do you want to tell everybody about the Fae magazine and what else you have coming up in the near future?
So I've got a copy here, but I'm not sure if that's back to front or not.
No, it's perfect. We can see it.
Is it? Yay! So that's the cover of my new issue. Can you see it okay? And this is literally just come hot off the press 2 days ago. Was it yesterday or the day before? I've lost track of time, but it's just come back from the printers. And this is my
do you want to show it again? I will, let me pin you so you can show it again. Hold on one second. All right, yeah, show it again. Perfect.
Yep, you got it.
Fairies and enchantment fae.
Yeah. And then on the back is a little advert for the Three Wishes Fairy Festival that I was telling you about as well. So
Right.
this goes out all around the world. Again, this started, I think the first one was in winter 2007. So it's been going quite a long time. And I was doing it. There's such a lot to talk about. I try and summarize it. I used to work for the BBC and I stopped working for them. I woke up one day with a very strong feeling that it wasn't the right path for me any longer. So I was left with all these skills and knowledge and didn't really know what to do with it. So I had to be in a place of not knowing what was going to happen. And I ended up doing some writing for an environmental magazine for a little while, which was fun, but it didn't fulfill my magical side, my connection with the fairies, even though it was about the environment, which was a step in the right direction. So I decided to create Fae magazine, and it was more of a little hobby, passion, fanzine type of thing. I didn't know if anybody would be interested. I didn't know if anyone would want to read it. I didn't have a clue. And then I had a call quite soon after I printed it from a distributor in the US, and to the point where I thought it was a joke, so I didn't answer them. I think they phoned or they emailed or both, and then they phoned back and said, "Did you get the email?" And I was like, "Yeah, was that true that you want to distribute my magazine?" And they said yes. And I was like, "Oh, okay." So then it just, okay, Faye wants to fly, so it's flying all over the world. It's in many high streets all around the world, in especially America, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, you know, lots of countries. It's been in Japan as well, and it's crazy really, when you think about it. So I try not to think about it too much. I just create it, allow it to go where it needs to go. And as I said, this has been since 2007, and basically it's a very grassroots type of publication. So it's like a fairy lifestyle magazine, for people that want to have that connection. So there'll be some folklore, there'll be fashion, there'll be practical tips, there'll be stories, we've got fairy book club section of people that write about fairies, even novels, you know, anything, art, a lot of art in there. And all the events, because there are events happening all over the world. There's some wonderful events happening all over the world, and it's a platform to connect. I remember when I first did an event, and it was called, I knew it had to be called the Fairy Angel and Healing Fair, and this was back in 2003, and it was the very first time I'd actually brought fairies into the title of an event. And I think I had like one fairy stall, you know, a stall with somebody, a booth, what you call it, and with somebody that was doing fairy related things, and everyone else was angelic or healing, and it took a while, but then gradually the fairy people, as I say, humans who have a connection with fairies, would slowly start coming from literally out of the rocks and under the woodwork, and they would just say, I had no idea that there were others like me, because a lot of them are very quiet and timid. Not anymore. Now we've all got, when we get together, there's very loud and parties and things, but at the beginning, people feel isolated and like they're not really they're misunderstood, and they don't feel that they fit in anywhere. So when you meet others of your own kind who resonate on that same vibration, it's refreshing, and a lot of people have come from that place, and so it's grown, and it's not just in the UK, it's all over the world, and we get people from different countries coming to the events that I organise as well, which is really lovely to actually physically meet people as well.
Yeah, that's fun. And do you have an online version of that magazine or no?
Yeah, it's available online as well. So we do it as an app for the iPad and the iPhone, and there's an Android version as well, and it's all available from the on the Fae magazine website. You can find all the details. So it's FAE, magazine.com. It's very simple, and then everything that you need is there, and if you have any questions you can always email from there as well. Yeah,
Awesome.
and it also has all the events in there. We have an events page on the website too, and it's not just the events that I organise, it's events from all around the world that other people are doing too, because we want to just create a one place where you can come and just find out what's going on where you are.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Anything else? Anybody else have any other questions? I'm trying to see if there's anything else that we need to. And so, you know, you all can say, I knew Karen when, because, you know, when she launches her Oracle card deck in the fall of 2019, she's going to be quite famous at Hay House. So yay.
I'll still be the same person. I hope I will. Yeah, I can't really see. I think if I haven't changed now, I don't think I'm going to change. Because, you know, when people are famous, like I know a few famous people, but they're still people. It's just, they're just more known for what they do. There are people who are worthy of, you know, that sometimes you get this thing when people are famous, I'm not talking about myself, about other, you know, big superstars and movie stars and things. They get a lot of adoration and love projected onto them. But I think that people that are not famous, that work in the health service and the caring service, they deserve that same type of adoration and love. They're not any less valid. You know, fame doesn't kind of identify who you are. It's just, you just might be known for what you do, and that's all it is. I think sometimes, I'm sure it does go to people's heads sometimes, but just being known doesn't really make you any better than anybody else. So really. I'm pretty sure that I will be just as I am now. Maybe my hair might be a bit different style, a bit more sparkle or something, I don't know, but I'll still be silly.
Good, we like silly.
Yeah.
So Lynn is asking, she says, I love the background decor. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Ooh, okay, yeah. Well, this is basically, I'm in my living room, my front room, in my flat where I live, and I not only live here, I work from here. So there is, like, I've got a screen here, which is, can you see the, if I move without knocking everything over.
Hold on, let me pin you again. Yeah, we can definitely see. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a screen, and it's basically just draped with, I like pink pink lights, and I've got the little tree that my partner bought in, and decorated it. There's little baubles and some little mushrooms on there as well.
Awesome.
Little fairies.
Where did you get the screen? It's beautiful.
I can't remember where I got the screen from. I've had it quite a long time. It's very light, so it's easy to move around, and it creates a really lovely little backdrop as well.
Yes,
so,
it definitely does. Awesome. And Sunny's asking, have we, some of us, been fairies before being human?
Yeah, very possibly. I believe that is possible, as from your own experience. You know, you've kind of experienced a past life where you were. I feel like I've definitely got fairy blood in me. That might sound a bit odd, but I have such a strong connection with fairies that it just feels like I do have that in me. I mean, luckily I'm speaking to you now, so it's okay. It's not the sort of thing you could say to anybody. You know, I am half fairy. I also have a connection with mermaids, and I feel like I've got that energy in me as well, because I always have to be near the sea. It's a very strong feeling. But the fairy, yeah, I do. I believe that if you have that connection, that I can't remember what the word is, a feeling that you have been a fairy before, then the chances are that I think you could well have been, and that you chose to incarnate as a human, because when you have a body, you can kind of do more tangible things, which is why fairies are very happy when humans are receptive to them and respectful to them and the environment, because it means they can inspire you to do the physical things that they can't do. They're magical beings. They can do anything pretty much, but they don't have the body, the physical body. So that's why it's almost like a symbiotic relationship, and a byproduct of working with the fairies is that it does leave a trail of magic for manifestation, etc.
So when, Sunny's talking about how we have some of us been fairies before being human, and I don't think, like, because of time, the time concept is just here, the time construct is just here on Earth, but it's more of, we have parallel lives, right? And we are simultaneously being different beings all the time. So, but can we, like, let's say if we've been a fairy before, can we tap into those energies, qualities, strengths, abilities, capacities now in our human form, and be able to tap into them and use them now?
Most definitely, because if you feel that connection with fairy, then you have that within you anyway. So it's just a matter of allowing it to come out. You don't actually have to learn to do anything. It's about allowing it, acknowledging it, that it has been a part of you and that it still is. And it's just allowing space for that to come out. And it means being sensitive and being aware, as I said earlier, of the subtleties. It can be a very subtle thing.
Right.
But it can come out, and you don't have to relearn anything. It's just like you're almost rediscovering an aspect of yourself that was, but always is as well, if that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's about having that intention and that focus that, okay, you know what, I'm feeling this strongly, so let's, what can I do or be now to bring in that capacity, bring in those talents, or just remember them, right?
Yeah.
It's about just remembering them, because we always have them, but it's about remembering them, and it's like there's a recognizing them again, but there's another
releasing them from within, releasing it into your being. And also, when we are in connection with the environment and we are mindful of the things that we're eating, the chemicals that are being used, and try to remove as much of that as you can from your day-to-day living, then again it puts you on the radar of the fairies. And it's almost like with a human, you can meet another person and they can inspire you to, hey, why don't you do this? Or you can be inspired by people, and it's the same with the fairies. So if you have that within you, they will recognize you, and they will in turn inspire you to be more in tune with your fairy self as well.
Right. Awesome. Thank you. Great question, Sunny. Thank you so much for that. Karen, have you ever been mistaken for Stevie Nicks, Fleetwood Mac?
You know what? Yeah, I have. It's really bizarre because I adore her, but it's not a conscious thing, but it's been said to me a lot for many years, and I'm very flattered. It's a very flattering thing for someone to say,
right.
Because she is somebody that I admire greatly for her, not only for her looks, but primarily for her talent, her voice, her creativity, her awesomeness. I've heard that she's just been, is it not inducted into the Hall of Fame, but something twice in the Hall of Fame. I don't know what it's called. I saw it.
The Music Hall of Fame or something?
Something like that, but twice. Which is pretty awesome.
And I have to say, just because we're talking about Stevie Nicks, I'm 51 now, so I've never been a music person. Like, I didn't know anything about music, so I never knew that Stevie Nicks was a woman until like, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago. I had no idea. I was like what? No idea. I'm so bad.
Well, if it was a man, then I might not be quite so flattered.
But I had no idea, because my ex-husband used to like Fleetwood Mac, right? And so he would listen to the songs or whatever, and they didn't do anything for me, so I didn't pay attention. And then, and you know, I kept hearing Stevie Nicks, but I didn't know, you know, until somebody said, and it's like, oh, what? So I had
Yeah,
no idea.
she's great. I like Stevie Nicks. I love Kate Bush as well, who
See,
not
I
everybody.
know she's a woman.
Oh, yeah, yeah, she's definitely a woman.
Oh goodness. All right. Any other questions, folks? I'm like starting to get uncomfortable, as you all know. Everybody knows that after about an hour or 45 minutes to an hour, I can't not sit anymore. You know, it's like my butt hurts on this chair. No, no, that was beautiful. That was lovely. And so I did put the MP3. I had to, you know, put it in 3 parts. So
Yeah,
it's 2 parts plus an instrumental, right? So
yes,
the 2 parts is the meditation, right? And
yes.
then you need a whoopee cushion. Absolutely, you need a whoopee cushion. And then the instrumental is just music. So if you just want to do a meditation with just the music, is that what
Yeah,
that? Yeah.
or just relaxation. You can just have it on as background music to your daily chores or whatever you're doing. So it's always, I like to always do that. My partner creates the music and
Mm-hmm.
does the production of the CDs, and then I do the meditations. But it's nice to have the option, because you don't always want to have that guidance. Sometimes you just want to float away with the music and no words,
Right.
and do your own things. So we just create the space where you can do either.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And so that is in, you know, the email that went out this morning, right? And so it's going to be again, in the email, it's going to go out again with the replay. So feel free to watch or listen to this again so that you can do that guided process. Or maybe when you get antsy, sometime you could take us on a live cast on a walk in your beautiful city. Oh, that's a great idea. Great idea. Yeah, I will definitely. I'll pick a day when it's nice and warm. Awesome, thank you. And so, you know, June is when you're having your Three Wishes Festival, right?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, and let me say as well, because I do all these the magazine and the festivals and the fairy balls, and my cards are obviously coming out as well. So I would urge everyone to go to my website, which is karenk.co.uk, and I'll also give everybody another little short fairy door meditation. So just for signing up to the newsletter, if they want to, if anybody wants to, then you'll receive that. So that's, yeah.
Awesome. So I just put it in the chat, karenk.co.uk.
Yeah.
Awesome. So
Yeah.
go there and sign up for the website and get another guided fairy meditation.
Yeah. Yeah. And then there are lots
did I do that? I think I did that already. I must have. Yeah, I'm sure I did. Makes sense.
There's lots of information on there. I do newsletters, not too frequently, but enough to just do updates. If there's some news worth sharing, then I share it.
Mm-hmm. Awesome, thank you. So she doesn't do as many newsletters as I do. So awesome, thank you so much. And so yeah, so what I was saying was you're having the Three Wishes Festival in June, right? And
yeah.
June is a wonderful time to visit England.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah. So
and we have these cute little, because not everybody wants to pitch a tent.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people do, but not everybody. So we have what we call glamping options. So we have these cute little, I'm saying hobbit huts, but they're not called hobbit because we're not allowed to say that. So little tiny little fairy type houses that are reminiscent of the houses that you would find in Hobbiton. And you can stay, and they've got little plugs to plug your phone in and little beds in there, and you can lock the door. And there's also wonderful Romany wagons that you can stay in as well. And, you know, there's different options and beautiful cottages in the surrounding area. So we do get people, and you can fly to Heathrow or Gatwick and then catch a plane to Newquay in Cornwall. So it's, okay. And in fact, there was a New York flight as well. I don't know if that's still going, directly from Cornwall. He had to stop off at Heathrow or Gatwick. My son's a pilot as well. He works currently in Gatwick, so I know a little bit about the routes, not too much though.
Awesome. No, that sounds like fun because, June in England is nice weather, and get a chance to see, maybe more fairies and more fairy stuff. I might come as long as I can do the glamping because I don't do tenting. So I would definitely want to do something.
Yeah, if you feel drawn, let's chat. And maybe you could bring a group of people with you. We get people who do that. We had a lovely small group of people who came from Australia, and they came in a group and they stayed and introduced themselves, and that was really lovely. And they're going to come back again in 2020. No, I don't know where we are now. I've lost track of
Yeah. So guys, what do you think? You guys want to go to the Three Wishes Fairy Festival in June in England, in Cornwall?
Yay!
We can all go as a group. We can make it work, and definitely me. I got a glam. I cannot do the tent, so
We'll make it as comfortable because we like a bit of comfort. So we've got flush toilets and hot showers and lovely food, and it's like comfortable, a comfortable festival. Running water.
Yes, I like running water. That's so funny.
Yeah.
And so then saying, do a show from the Three Wishes Fairy Festival. I could do that. I could do a show from the Three Wishes Fairy Festival. That would be fun.
Yeah, definitely. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Awesome.
It'd be really nice. Yeah, and we also, just briefly, that we have it's a 3-day festival, 3 days and nights, but you don't have to stay for the whole time. But if you do, over that period of time, there are more than 100 free workshops and talks that you can participate in. Once you've got your ticket to go into the event, everything is free once you're inside.
Wow.
And that's for adults and children, and all different workshops aimed at different types of growth and people, depending on what you're interested in. So we make it a very community based event, so there's something for everyone.
Awesome. I love that. And because, and I'm glad it's 3 days because I wouldn't want to come just for one,
No, it's a bit far.
And if somebody's coming from North America, they don't want to come for just 1 day. So 3 days and all those workshops that, we can make a wand, for example.
Yeah. Not like this, but this is my little wand. It was given as a gift to me.
Nice.
I love it.
But I'm sure they have wand making there,
Yeah, we have one We're having a unicorn world record attempt as well. So we make the little horns, and then we all gather, and it's about celebration and fun.
Yes. Awesome.
And fairies want to be honoured and celebrated. Yeah. And we do it at midsummer, and we hold a fairy ring, a physical fairy ring. So if you come, you can do that with me, because I facilitate that, and everyone gets in a big circle, and it's really, really wonderful.
Sounds good. And I'll be back in Europe in June, because in May I'm in North America, but then I'm back in, by the end of May I'm back in Europe. So it's like awesome. Ooh, I like it. Sounds good.
Yeah.
It's really light.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Awesome. So you guys, if you're interested, send me an email. Say, I'm in. I want to do it, or give me some more information. And we'll set it up so that we can all go as a group. Because I don't think my husband would want to go.
A lot of women say that their husbands are like a little bit reluctant, but as soon as they come back every year. The men who say that they don't want to go. Yeah. And I've seen men come in there, I'm not dressing up. I don't want to dress up, they say. And then the next year they have a little mask or a little bit of face paint. And then like my partner, the first event that I did, if we've got time, I'll just briefly say, the first fairy ball that we ever did, he said, I'm not dressing up. Is exactly what every guy, I don't mean to be general about it, but it is something that happens a lot. And I said, okay, you don't have to dress up. And then I lost him at the event, and I went downstairs into the bar, and I saw this mysterious man with a green velvet cloak and a mask. And I thought, that looks like Michael. And he was surrounded by all these women. Because at the time, when the scene first really got going in the UK, it was primarily women. It was like 90% women or 95% women and 5% men. And so the guys that did go got a lot of attention. They were very happy.
Yeah.
But it's more balanced now. The ratio of male and female is very balanced, which is great. More people are opening up to it, and it's okay to like fairies, and it doesn't mean you have to wear a pink tutu, but if you want to, you can, but you don't have to. They're very earthy as well, aren't they? So the men can, you know, be more earthy with it, and the women can as well. It's just a fun expression of celebration and being creative, because we need more lightheartedness and celebration in the world. There's enough of the other stuff. We're not saying it doesn't exist, because with light there is always dark. There is, but it's what you choose to focus on.
Absolutely.
And we acknowledge that it all exists, but I'm focusing on fun and celebration and light and joy, because the world needs it. And when we gather together to do this, then it's even more powerful, and it sends out beautiful ripples all around. It's really lovely.
I love it. Yeah, thank you. That sounds exciting. Yeah, sounds like fun.
Yeah.
And you know, I could always use some fun. So yes, I'm in. Woohoo!
Yay!
So, definitely. All right. Linda says my favorite wand is 0 point energy healing wand. Oh, love that. Good for you. All right, everyone. So, wow, this was so much fun. You know, again, do the guided meditation again that we did on here. Do the guided meditation. That is your free gift. Go to karenk.co.uk and sign up and get another guided meditation, fairy meditation there. And then join us in June for the Three Wishes Fairy Festival.
Yay!
All right, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone, for your questions and your comments and your feedback. And thank you, Karen, for this beautiful call, just this wonderful energy, talking about the fairies, connecting again with the fairies and the manifestation process. It was beautiful. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on your show. And it's been a real pleasure to talk to you and to connect with everybody. So thank you. And I'll do my little thing again. Any chance I get.
I love it. All right, everyone. Until next time, may you continue to be blessed with an abundance of joy, peace, love, happiness, prosperity, and radiant health. Sending you all much love and blessings always. Bye for now.
Bye.